Hey, Alicia, welcome to
Fucking.
Alabama.
Whoa.
And,
Now?
and that answers the question I think you're gonna ask. Where am I? I'm
Wow.
outside Mobile, Alabama, on
How
my way to Dr. Joe, Grapevine, Texas.
that's awesome. It's like you were reading your own mind, but we had the same message again. That's so cool because I was gonna ask you. You look to be on remote locations. So, Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah, you think we would have done 3 outtakes before we started with this
It's
intro,
so
but that
weird.
was not the case at
So
all.
weird. Hey, quick fun fact about Alabama. Only state I've never been to. I've been to all other 49. Haven't been to Alabama.
Wow, not even the little part of I-10
Nope.
between Mississippi and Florida?
Nope. Haven't
Because
done it.
that's the little part I'm in. I just got in by the crack. Actually, shout out to Jeremy and Jason. I have been to Florence, Alabama.
Okay. Cool. Shout out Jeremy and Jason. So I heard that you're gonna surprise me this time with a topic. What are we talking about?
Yes. I have been having a few days of challenge and expansion. And this morning I'm like, enough is enough.
Mm.
I'm dropping into this meditation and I remembered what I've remembered 100 times before, and I keep remembering it. One concept was coming so clearly into focus. And this quote floats around everywhere. I have no idea what the origin of it is. All suffering is thought. I saw it crystal clear. All suffering literally is thought. And even the first thing that comes to my mind to counteract myself, and probably would come to other people's minds to counteract, is physical pain. And then the example in my state of clarity came with physical pain. Well, take something like a vaccination shot, especially during a hugely fearful period where people might have been clamoring for a certain type of vaccination. They know it's going to hurt, but they're essentially begging for the pain because the belief system is so strong, the thought is so strong that this physical pain is going to not only benefit me, but save my life. So please give me as much pain as necessary to save my life, almost excitement for it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most extreme example. I was just recognizing so clearly that all the challenge I've been having the last 2 days is nothing but a momentum of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and that all the suffering comes from the momentum of out of alignment thoughts. There's really nothing more to it. In almost every moment, I'm truly perfect. Actually, in every moment, I am truly perfect. I'm fed, I'm healthy, I'm watered, I'm comfortable, even when I think I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
This was big for me.
I love this. It's so interesting that you're mentioning this. I wanna come back to the vaccine story in a minute, but I woke up last night from a dream. It was about 3:30 when I woke up, and I woke up with a not great feeling, and it was a feeling of disappointment and frustration. And I had a momentum about it, and was thinking about some things, and then thought about this person who, in a sense, he cut me out of his life, and ultimately it's a good thing, right? Like whatever, like it's all serving me. But in that moment, when I had that momentum, I was thinking about how this loss of this person in quotes, um, it it actually in that very moment was serving me from the realization of like I was going down memory row. I was not feeling good about it. And I became conscious of it in that moment of as I'm going down memory row, as I'm picking up the last text message um, that was sent, I had this realization that whoa, this doesn't feel good. Why are we playing in this path, right? And I go back to what something you said in the last episode that we did was the feeling that we're having in this moment is creating the next, right? It is creating the next. And so it was really cool to wake up and become conscious in that moment. I too was creating my own suffering with thought. 3:30 in the morning, nothing else going on. Dogs sleeping in their sweet little beds next to me, right? Totally comfortable. Had my water next to my nightstand, right? No reason to be suffering other than in my own head.
It's a
So,
powerful example. And I hear Dr. Joe's phrase, this thought isn't loving towards myself.
mm,
And the recognition that I'm essentially abusing myself by choosing to lean into the thought. I give certain respect to the idea of momentum and the law of attraction. Abraham so nicely points out how law of attraction is both your worst enemy and your best friend. You get a focus going for 68 seconds, and it's almost like your thoughts start thinking you do have control, but it takes more will, more intention to shift the focus off once the momentum is going. I want to step back for 1 second because I was also starting to see from a broader perspective, really see the concept that thoughts aren't really originated within us. They're a result of the selected frequency, just like a radio or a TV. You pick a frequency to tune to, and then the images and words of a radio or TV come as a result of that. I was seeing so clearly that's not a proverbial, it's a literal statement of what's occurring here. The thoughts really aren't us. They all exist, all of them on every frequency, and we pick and then receive from that. And it's the confusion that I fell into, thinking that the thoughts were objectively the only real truth and were actually describing me, as opposed to just being the radio station that I happen to be listening to, and then deciding, do I want to listen to this or not? And finding so much power in the idea of meditating, just shifting to the nothingness as a way to slow and stop the momentum. What do you think about that?
I love that. I love that. It reminds me in part of what I was deploying last night as I became conscious of, like, wait, I'm on this thought trail that isn't feeling good. So what am I going to do about it? And I remember that Eckhart Tolle in a video offered the idea of silencing the human mind, but then opening up the question, I wonder what thought will come next, right? And asking that question of oneself, right? Alicia at 3:35 in the morning now, right? I wonder what thoughts will come next. It for me shifted the momentum. One, it stopped everything in its tracks, and then two, it allowed the space for the next thing to flow in. So it was helpful. I'm also thinking back to maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago when I threw that pop quiz at you, hot shot from the movie Speed, for those of you who are following along. It was that question of, do you control your emotions, thoughts, or beliefs, right? And the answer is no. We don't control our thoughts. It's the vibration, right? And fundamentally the beliefs that we hold around thoughts, experiences, etc. So yeah, I'm curious, what are you doing with it this morning then, since you're having this profound realization since your meditation?
Having the profound realization yet again, and I'm drawing power from the fact that I keep remembering. You could frame it in the context, I keep forgetting, or I can frame it in the context, this is fucking awesome. I keep realizing the same thing over and over again. And when I sit in the realization, naturally I start to attract thoughts that say, oh, right, I actually realized this 7 times already. And I can have specific memories of where I was when I had those realizations. So it's the idea of the thoughts coming to back me up again. So I was just on the Abraham Caribbean 2025 cruise.
Nice.
And since I have such a powerful momentum going about hot seat appearances, I selected myself for the hot seat again. And
on the
my
first
question
day.
actually
On the first day. Nice job.
Thanks for the props on that. The hot seat question really fits in well to this conversation, because before the cruise, I was really locked into a frequency that felt fucking good. It was flowing thoughts. And so my question was, Abraham's always saying physical pain in the body is just amplified negative emotion. I questioned her, can we just flip it inversely and say, essentially like orgasmic bliss, the physical sensation of it in the body without any external physical stimuli? If I'm experiencing that in meditation, can I say it's just exaggerated positive emotion? And her response was yes. And there was more to it in other angles, but just that recognition that the thought gets translated into an emotion, and then the emotion eventually gets translated into some type of physical sensation, which can be, quote, reasonless physical sensation in the body. Although like medicine might say the pain is because of your spleen and because it's giving you a reason because you keep asking why. So physical reality is like, no problem, I'll give you a reason why. But the same thing with joy, it just can be translated into bliss. And Dr. Joe too is so resonant with this, where he offers the idea of a panic attack versus like a joy attack. If you keep programming your body with incoherent, painful thoughts, sooner or later, it's just going to pop in a moment of panic. And you look where you are when that pop happens. You're on a plane, you're in a mall, and all of a sudden you unintentionally form a belief. Oh shit, flying must freak me out because this panic is happening while I'm on a plane, or I must not like crowds because this panic is happening while I'm in a crowd. It's just the moment when it pops. And it's really fun to think about the idea of programming a joy attack and then letting, maybe it'd be cool to have the opposite thing happen. You have like a joy pop that you programmed while you're who knows where, washing the dishes, and all of a sudden you're like, washing the dishes makes me joyful. But just that realization that emotions, physical sensation, and physical reality is just reflecting the thought frequency we've chosen to tune to.
I love that so much. When was your last joy attack?
So in this moment, and I'm realizing how changeable my memory is, and some parts of me wants to say like, you're a liar, but then I realize the frequency I'm in based on that state. When I'm in good states, it seems like I've always been having these joy attacks. When I'm not, it doesn't. But two nights ago, for 3 days after my cruise, I got 3 different invitations to stay with 3 other people in their homes. And since I'm enjoying my van life, or maybe getting more clarity that the van life isn't a permanent fixture for me, and I could have gotten a hotel or whatever, but it felt so good to just have the thought, it'd be great to stay with people while I'm in South Florida after this cruise, and to get 3 invitations 3 days in a row. And the second and third nights, I was just stopping as I was lying in bed thinking, oh my God, I created my own reality. I'm here. It feels so good. I got the invitation from people who I adore. Comfortable bed, comfortable environment. There were pets in 2 out of the 3 houses.
Perfect.
The second night, I've been having, every time I see pets, I envision them sitting on my lap, right? Us connecting, feeling the fur, jiving out, because I love them. The second night, the cat who normally sleeps with my friend every single night slept with me the whole night. And I woke up a couple times in joy instead of in fear, because I programmed it before I went to bed or as I was falling asleep. And I woke up and I looked, and there's the cat snuggled right up against my leg, and just deep appreciation and that runaway momentum of the frequency that I like to be on. And that's such a great example. And actually, look, me a little coconut right next to you now. Shout out coconut. Causing the same effect.
Yeah, she's sweet. She's a bundle of joy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. It is amazing how easy it actually is to flip from one mode to the next, with just a tiny bit of awareness, just a tiny bit of pausing, asking, where am I at, right? And Abraham asks this question a lot too, in terms of like, what mode am I in? Am I in the receiving mode, right? Or am I not? And I think that there's something to that. So I have kind of an interesting situation where I'm kind of intentionally anticipating the receiving mode. So I have 2 tickets to JazzFest in New Orleans. The original person I was supposed to go with can't go anymore. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these tickets. It's 3 weeks away, maybe 4, I can't remember, at first weekend of May. And my human mind wants to figure it out. My human mind wants to post these tickets or start asking people if they want to go. And this other part of me that's playing with different rules, different, new, different game, fun game, is like, no, just chill. It's going to come. It's going to pop, right? And realizing too that in the moments where I start thinking about like, oh, I wonder if I should post it on Vivid Seat or Geek Seat or, then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's like the worrisome mode. That's not the receiving mode. I'm not going to get the answer to the problem when I'm focused on the fixing the problem, right? And so it does. It feels actually really good and easy to just be like, put it down, right? For the people on podcasts, I'm physically showing putting it down and let the inspiration when I'm in the receiving mode strike at the right time. And it's fun to play with, right? It's fun to run these experiments and to have these examples in life of like, okay, like we're just gonna let universe put the right cooperative components in place and it's going to work out. So
it's a whole paradigm shift, as Joshua indicates, to act on inspiration instead of acting on a corrective urge, and having the consciousness to tell the difference between the two. It's interesting to sit, or when you feel the urge, to instead shift, probably not in that moment, mark it, and then later on shift to an emotional frequency where the solution already exists, to watch reality conform to that. It's interesting. I was sitting with this too with Bashar, where he's all about action, right? Act on your excitement. And I see the power in that. If you're truly acting on your joy with no inspiration, with no insistence on the outcome, no expectation on the outcome, and staying in a positive state, I definitely see how that works. It's interesting how Abraham and a few other consciousnesses offer the perspective of just aligning with the feeling of it as if it's already being done, and then watching it just completely fall in your lap. It seems like there's a million different ways to play this game, many of them effective, but it is fun. Like you had with your future Abraham cruise, you shared that story in a past video where you placed the light intention on it, let it go, and then within, it was like an hour or whatever,
within the
right?
hour. Yeah, it was like 34 minutes or something. Yep.
Yeah.
It works out amazingly. I am wondering, as we're thinking about moving through life day to day and our walking real life meditation, I'm thinking about like, what are some little practices that you deploy as you move through the world? And I'll give it an example of a quick, easy one that I adjusted maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago. I always used to say no problem, blah, 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 in a text message, no problem. I'm running late, no problem, blah, blah, blah. And a slight shift for me is I chose the language all good instead, right? Because I want to reaffirm, like, it's all good. Everything is all good, right? And that's language that I've adopted. And it's interesting because when I started using it, I would hear it reflected back from my team a lot. This is when I was working at a company previously. And so people started, reflecting back to me all good. And I feel like I see it and hear it a lot. So just like a little tiny, tool or permission slip I've deployed in my day-to-day. Curious if you have anything fun or tips like that to share.
My new one of today is taking the time to realign when I feel the wobble. And there was a period, mostly inspired by Dr. Joe, of intentionally setting aside 3 30-minute periods throughout the day, or the morning period, which might be long, but 2 additional 30-minute periods in the day, afternoon and evening, to just recalibrate by focusing in on the nothing. There seems to be this inherent value in complete defocusing as causing like a reboot to the consciousness and an inherent cork rising, and intentionally deciding to carve out time and following through on that brings about effortless acceptance and recognition that everything really always is perfect. Coming out of those meditations of just focusing in on nothing or on breathing really do make a significant change for me. Abraham used to tell this story with Jerry that she would say, I'm too busy, I don't have time to meditate. And Jerry would say, you don't have time not to meditate. And there's so much truth in that. You realize it, like she says, like vacuuming the floor without the vacuum being plugged in. You run around like crazy doing all these things. But if you're in an emotional state that feels bad, you're not doing anything at all. You're fucking vacuuming the floor without the vacuum plugged in. And that's how I see where certain people offer the idea, like, you waste lifetimes. Like, it's not really waste, but you're going through the motions for an entire lifetime, but you're not actually there's no change in consciousness, so there's no change in emotion, and then no change in experience. Same day over and over again, like Groundhog Day.
Yep.
So that intentional time to reset, I'm remembering how powerful that is, and excited, have my reminders reset excitedly. Oh yeah, I remember when I was doing this and how good it felt. You always ask such great questions that offer such great reflection.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, I mean, I think it's, that question of whether it's a 30-minute reset, or Abraham says how long? 76 seconds, 78?
68. Well,
68.
She says, so it used to be 17-second periods, now it's 16-second periods. So 4 16-second periods, 68 seconds.
So 60, yeah. Okay, cool. So it could be as simple as that, right? Or it could be that whole 30-minute reset. But I think regardless, it's that idea of bringing the awareness. And how I like to visualize it is, it's my brain is truly the receiver, right? Whether it's physically the pineal gland or something else up there that's making it happen. So where am I tuned, right? Did the dial tune down, or did the dial tune up, or do I want it to tune up more? And so I think that just taking that reset time, maybe both. Why not both, right? The quick,
Absolutely.
Short little hits and the bigger ones. And I love what you're saying with regards to the momentum that we gain when we do get back in alignment. So true.
Yeah. And being kind to self and not attempting to shift too fast. I know there must be a reality where an instant shift vibrationally and emotionally of a epic is possible. Right now, if I'm honest with myself, my belief system must not really support such an extreme shift. So being comfortable and accepting and loving of the small shifts, rather than attempting to make such a big shift what I can't possibly do, and then beating up on myself as a result of that.
Yeah.
So just those little shifts and a slight improvement, a slight relief, being recognized and appreciated for what it is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely doing both.
To bring it back to old school for me, Tony Robbins stuff, right? Tony Robbins talks about physical change of state, right? And so instead of sitting and like trying to meditate or whatever, do that big, like stand up and do 10 jumping jacks, stand up and go put out your feet in grass or whatever. And so I think that for me is another great reset tool in that state shift. And whether internal or external, whatever, it kind of externalizes that work a little bit, right? In terms of physical environment and playing with that to help change that mental state too. So that
feels really good. I'm going to add it to my list right now. Okay. And it brings my memory to that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, where they do the most crazy act, the most unexpected response to something as a permission slip to hopping timelines.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great movie. Great reference. If you haven't seen it, Everything Everywhere All at Once. So.
Yes. I still haven't seen all of it, to be honest, but I've seen half of it.
Oh man,
the plane landed before I could finish.
The fight scene at the end it's actually a love scene. It's a love scene. It's amazing. So got to be sure to watch it. So let's wrap up in a couple minutes here. But one of the other things that has been on my mind, and I think that this is, an extension of what we're talking about in terms of state changes and shifting that tuner. I was thinking about that idea of gratitude versus appreciation. And then also the question of love and what these three words kind of mean and how do they show up for you, and are there any differences, or when do they apply? So I'll let you kick it off.
Great question. I've been seeing in my near instant manifestations how incredibly gentle the focus and appreciation of it is. It's never a pushing against. It'll just be a thought, it'd be really nice to stay stay in beds for the next 3 days while I'm in Miami. It wasn't like, fucking van life, fucking bed, this, that. It was just a pure thought, maybe an inspired thought in and of itself that was very light. I don't even think, using that as an example, I don't even think I spent 68 seconds on it, but I must have. I probably spent 17 seconds. Maybe that was enough in its lightness. But I definitely see, and Abraham was keying in on that a little bit, or I picked up on some of that. The idea, anytime there's resistance contained within the intention, it's slowed down. It's not really pure. So that idea of gratitude, I know Dr. Joe uses that phrase a lot, but Abraham makes that huge distinction. Gratitude has a pushing against in it, right? Thank God I got 5 green lights in a row, because I fucking usually get 5 red lights in a row. So it's like you tear yourself apart, right?
Yeah.
It's a yes and followed by a but. In the complete purity of wouldn't it be nice, and just drifting into the emotion, period. I think I shared in the last video of my coffee manifestation where the barista corrected it herself. This bed example, I had someone offered that I could do laundry at their house. I've been having lots of like quote little manifestations just with the pure wouldn't it be nice, and I recognize the fact that I'm calling them little is what's enabling them. If I'm saying something's big, the resistance is in the statement. It's big right there. So same question.
Okay, same question. I don't know why, but, and maybe I have heard this elsewhere before, but gratitude for me is a thankfulness and an appreciation. It's weird to use the one word to describe the other, but it's something that has happened. It is something that has occurred, right? And in a sense, Abraham talks about that idea of like really juicing up those things, those events, those moments, those experiences that were, super gratifying gratitude, right? And so I think of it for me as a little bit of a past orientation, whereas appreciation is in this moment and what's to come, right? And for me, it's a little bit more of that looking forward. And to your point, the wouldn't it be nice if exercise, right? Like it's how I manifested this exact house I'm in. I wrote, a full page of wouldn't it be nice if in the living situation I wanted. And the very next day I found this house, and it was the only house that I went and saw, and I bought it. And so, yeah, and it is. To me, it can feel like a really soft and gentle thing. And this is a pretty big thing, right? More than just like a coffee cup or a bed for a night, right? This is a bed for many nights. But I do see appreciation as forward looking, and in the moment too. And I think for me, the idea of love in that is like gratitude and appreciation are kind of like the subs of this big umbrella of love, right? And or like maybe they're the little handle, the pole that you hold on to in the umbrella of love. So yeah, I think just in those moments, a part of what I went through last night, after waking up from that uncomfortable dream discomfort, was just playing the appreciation game. I love my pillow. I love this bed. I love my dogs, right? I love the temperature control, right? And so focusing on those instead, yeah, it definitely helped to shift that momentum. The other thing that I did is I watched this super duper cute Instagram video. We'll put it in the link in the description, where this guy's fiance surprised him with a surprise birthday party at Costco by bumping into all of his friends. And this person sounds very in tune and believes in the magic of the universe. And he's literally up to running into 10 different friends, and he's so excited, and he still believes that this is all coincidental, right? And he's like, and the next friend he sees, he runs up and he's like, dude, you're number 10. And the guy's like, what do you mean number 10? He's like, you're the 10th person I've seen. It's a great video. And so that's what I capped my little transition period from, right, into my next round of sleep, my next round of astral travel was with that, right? Like, I think it's okay sometimes to take the shortcut of experiencing joy through other people's joy as well. So
100%. Yeah. Where are you looking? I got that image right after my morning meditation. The idea that the universe is huge. I was seeing like a pizza pie, or like a pizza pie with one tiny slice taken out. And I was just looking at the tiny edge of the slice, being like, this isn't working out. Meanwhile, behind me is 99.99% of a perfect pie.
I love
it. And the message was clear to myself, like, why are you focusing on this one little point that's not working? The whole world is out there for you.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Shift that focus to something more beautiful. And as a last point, it's really cool to differentiate your definition of appreciation and gratitude in realizing we all have different definitions. And I know we talked about this way back when in a different episode. It'd be funny to like watch me converse with someone else from another outside perspective and realize we're not even conversing about the same fucking topic. Like the only thing that matters is the emotional quality of it, the words and the idea of reaching agreement and so on and so forth. It's all like fucking pointless because it's impossible for us to ever have an identical lens, identical definitions, identical experiences. So I love the idea of playing off each other to build something and have the emotion of enjoyment, but not caring about the weeds and the details of like these little definitions. And I loved gratitude. Wait, what was the other word you had within
gratifying, right?
Those gratifying, yes. You knew exactly what I was thinking. Gratitude is gratifying. If that's the definition, then fuck yes.
Yep. It's all related. It's all bound together.
It's all related.
Well, I am so grateful for you, and I do really appreciate you and this time that we spend.
Likewise. And I don't know if anyone noticed, I think it's symbolic. The light on this side of me is slowly absorbing me, but like if you look, it's literally absorbing me.
Whoa,
like it's taking my whole shirt disappears when I step into the light. It's eating me.
Awesome.
And I love that the sunlight is coming to consume us all.
Podcast listeners, you got to watch the video on this one. That's cool. Whoa, reality. That's so crazy. Like, because I can see the background of the wall. What? That is so crazy. Anyway.
If we did another hour, I would just totally disappear. Little by little.
You would. Okay. Well, co-host Coconut, any final words? Boop, boop, boop. Coconut?
Copes.
No, she's no words today. She appreciates me letting her sleep this time.
Love it.
Okay. I feel satisfied.
I'm feeling maybe like if I raise the roof and you lower the floor for our cover photo.
Okay, but you got to go the other way because I'm underneath.
Oh, the other way, like so?
Yeah.
There it is.
Nice job. Oh, Coconut's involved now too.
Oh, she's in it.
Hi, Coco.
Love it. Look at that look.
Peace.
Peace.